sirens are going off. There's an audible warning that's telling us that flash flooding is imminent along Boulder Creek.
This is serious right now.
We're going to leave our position here. I don't know when we're going to be able to rejoin you at this point, but we need to leave.
It's just kind of surreal right now.
3 years since.
It's just not heard of. It's just incredible.
Since the peak of a week of weather that Coloradans had never seen in their lives.
10 inches of rain in a couple of days, where there are usually about 16 inches in an average typical year.
The scale of the disaster defied description.
There's no way out for us right now because both roads have collapsed.
So many rivers overrun. So many cities flooded.
We know that we've lost lives. This has been a devastating storm.
Perhaps that's why the floods of September 2013 still don't have a name.
This is our life, and it's all gone now.
These are deathly situations.
Like a tsunami coming this direction. This is devastating to see it continue to fill up.
This is very large and scary scale, the recovery and the work that's going to go into getting over this and back to normal.
3 years since.
The crane got done early and the work started early.
Since the water came and left.
This used to be all flat and green.
The news crews came and left.
There's a lot of people that are still waiting to come home.
The attention came and left.
We're still working hard, and we want other people to be a part of that.
Here's the part of the story that we've largely missed in 2016. This summer has been the busiest period for permanently rebuilding roads and bridges since the floods of 2013. The single largest reconstruction project is just getting started. Most of the federal aid is still unspent. The permanent reconstruction of Highway 36 from Lyons to Estes Park was completed this year. The permanent fix for 34 from Loveland to Estes is underway. That won't be complete until 2018 or 2019. We're finishing the summer of construction, the busiest time since the floods. Highways, roads, bridges, riverbanks, and multifamily housing units were put in place. You have to remember, federal grant money didn't start arriving until 2014. $350 million is promised. $80 million of it was spent through the first half of this year, and spending's about to ramp up. Another $40 will be spent by year's end. And while we talk numbers, we have to remember all of the lives impacted. And we pause to remember the 10 lives lost in the floods 3 years ago this week. Friday is going to be an emotional day at Legacy High School in Broomfield. The varsity football team is going to play its homecoming game, less than a week after the bus crash that killed a school employee and injured players and coaches. Those students are all out of the hospital. Football players are being checked out at this point by the school's athletic trainer to make sure that it's safe for them to be playing football. 3 coaches are still in the hospital. Legacy's defensive coordinator will lead the team as head coach for the time being. That game is 7 p.m. Friday against Prairie View. They did end up canceling the JV game. So right at the bend in the highway in Bailey, at the bottom of the hill, sat a winery. There's an out-of-control semi that slammed into it overnight. It destroyed Aspen Peak Cellars, which was built by a husband and wife.
It's our livelihood. What we're gonna do? Lost our first property due to a barn fire in Conifer. Had to move, came down here, and now this. A few years later, just try to make a living with a dream of a business that really is fantastic, but it can also end like this. We get knocked down and we get back up again. Doesn't matter how often we get knocked down, it's how fast we get back up, and that's what we're gonna do.
The semi driver was taken to the hospital, and police are still not sure why that driver veered off the road. There are 25,000 bottles of wine inside that winery. They have no idea how many are still intact. All right, time for our daily check on the train to the pain. RTD's A-line, is it working today? Sorta. There's another power failure. Train got stuck. It blocked the tracks to DI-8, 61st and Pena. The trains are back on schedule now, for the time being. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Speaking of, it's a sign.
And I think people just instinctively will believe a sign.
Even if the sign is a straight-up lie.
As we see these signs every day, everybody sees them.
Signs on trucks carrying who knows what to who knows where. Warning, stay back, not responsible for broken windshields.
It just doesn't work that way.
You should believe Mike Laszlo. He's an attorney.
I am responsible if I punch you in the face. I can't wear a sign that says I'm not. If you cause damage to somebody or something, you are responsible.
We heard the same from the Colorado State Patrol, which relies on other drivers to call in reports of trucks with unsecured loads. The ticket is just a slap on the wrist. Unless someone gets hurt, then it's a misdemeanor traffic citation.
You can't just put a sign on something, on your truck, for instance, and say, we're not responsible for hurting you.
But it's tough to prove where a flying rock came from. I mean, they're all over the road. So while the sign might not be factually accurate, it still seems like a good idea. And now you know. Republican Senate candidate Darrell Glenn joined us on Next yesterday. You can see the full interview on our Facebook page. And incumbent Democratic Senator Michael Bennet will be joining us soon. And we're hosting a debate for both of them, October 11th, 7 p.m. on Channel 20 and 9news.com. A one-hour debate moderated by politics guy Brandon Rittiman and yours truly. Should be good. Get your popcorn ready. The big money opponents of Colorado Care are running TV ads trying to convince you that the universal health care plan on our ballot in November is a dumb idea. Brandon Rittiman dropped some truth on those ads.
The ad comes from a group called Coloradans for Coloradans. I'm not making that up. That's the actual name of the No campaign. It gets its funding mostly from health insurance and healthcare companies who oppose this new system. And we can say they're calling Colorado Care dumb because they compare it, well, to this.
Sometimes you just know a bad idea when you see one. Take Amendment 69, for example. It would raise our taxes by $25 billion a year.
That's true, but it also needs some context. The dollar amount of the tax increase is correct. It comes from the state's nonpartisan staff. But the ad doesn't tell you that you're paying this tax instead of whatever you pay today for health insurance. For some workers, the tax would actually be cheaper than the insurance premiums they pay. You can read more details about how much on 9news.com.
Double the size of state government.
That's true, and that's because health care is expensive, and adding health coverage to state government does cost about the same as everything else the state government does already.
And give Colorado the highest income taxes in the country.
That depends. For instance, non-wage money earned off investments, being self-employed, or retirement income above $20,000 would all be taxed at 14.63% by the state, and that would be higher than California's top tax bracket of 13.3%, which leads the nation today. But workers earning paychecks, well, they'd pay 7.93% tax. That isn't near the highest in the nation. Their employers would also pitch in 6.7%, which they'd have to factor into their payroll.
All to replace your doctor's decisions with a state program run by politicians.
That's an overstatement. Amendment 69 isn't designed to replace your doctor's decisions. It is meant to replace your health insurance. Doctors would need to work with Colorado Care in order to get paid. The program would have an elected board, and their policies could definitely influence decisions your doctors make. That's happening with your insurance already. They set the pay for things like drugs and tests you might need. Bottom line, this ad doesn't abuse the facts, but it does oversimplify some things about Amendment 69 to focus it in the most negative way. With your Truth Test, I'm Brandon Rittiman.
If you're the skeptical sort, or if you just like to nerd out over the details, all of Brandon's research is posted in his Truth Test on 9news.com. People who know politics, or just folks who have been around Colorado for a while, remember former Denver Mayor Wellington Webb. He's been out campaigning for Hillary Clinton this year, and like Clinton, Webb is currently sidelined by a medical issue. His wife Wilma sent out a note today saying that her husband has an intestinal issue that will have him out of the public eye for a while. She said, like Hillary, he'll be back as soon as he heals.
Nostalgia is everywhere these days. Maybe that's the reason why an old video is making the round on the interwebs lately. A special tribute to Aurora in pure 90s fashion. A song that probably gave a lot of people some pride. You don't get much more 90s than this.
Aurora.
Are you as pumped up about Aurora as we are right now?
In this great land we...
This spot started airing on Aurora's cable channel in 1993 during election night coverage. And if it pumped you up at the time, prepare to have your mind blown.
New Jersey.
Did she just say New Jersey?
New Jersey.
Yep, she said New Jersey.
They are exactly alike. There's no difference except the words.
Jerome Gilmer would know. He wrote the song for New Jersey, but it got the attention of his hometown cable station.
He called me and said, hey, we'd like to do something, can we talk? It was decided that they could make Aurora fit where New Jersey fit.
Positively Aurora!
So Positively Aurora was born, part of that era when hometown pride songs were huge.
You can take these to be absolute cheese, totally hokey, or you can take it to be something very heartwarming and something to be proud of.
Gilmer still writes them, usually working with a TV station.
They're trendy, like there's long stretches where no one would think of doing a thing like that. It just, you know, and I didn't think they were ever really going to come back. And here in the last few years, we've done quite a few.
Cheesy or heartwarming, Gilmer hopes they accomplish the mission.
What you're always trying to do, to make happen is make people feel better about who they are and where they are. It's fun, huh?
It is. Good luck getting that out of your head. That story reminds us of one of our favorite stories, if we might make a recommendation. Positively Aurora is straight out of this episode of This American Life from 2014, you know, the radio show. It also looks at the cheesy city theme songs of yore, and you've got to listen to this episode of This American Life, if only to hear the sadness of a Canadian guy who loved the song Hello Calgary as he realizes the song was also Hello Milwaukee, Hello Phoenix, Hello Knoxville, and so on. It's great. Listen, you can find a link on the next Facebook page, which is where you could make a recommendation for us to share with everyone at home. It finally feels like fall. If you're freezing your apps off and can't find the forecast on your phone, it's right here next. Along with a student earning medals for brewing beer before he's earned his diploma. And they taught us love. Chris Vanderveen's words teach us something about them.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin. We are wrapping up our coolest day of the week. It sure was a pretty day up in the higher terrain areas where we had a little bit of rainbow activity up there, some cloud cover and some rain, and down in the lower elevations it was all fog today and just kind of a chilly, damp afternoon with temperatures well below the average of 68 degrees today. We'll start the warming trend tomorrow, but the showers coming in from the southwest mean some of you may still see some heavy rain yet tonight. There are no watches or warnings to tell you about, but plenty of moisture coming in with a very cool, unsettled weather pattern that promises to last one more day. The low over the Great Basin is finally on the move tomorrow, and that means after the showers we expect tomorrow, we should start to see the sun come back out and temperatures warm. Around the area tonight, grab a light jacket and the umbrella if you're headed out. 46 degrees overnight with some areas of fog, maybe a factor for the morning drive. Sunshine will get us to 76 tomorrow, but showers are back in the forecast in the afternoon. Temperatures continue below the average of 80 right into the weekend, but will come close to 80 by Sunday afternoon. And the leaves are changing in the Colorado high country. Time to plan that fall foliage outing. Trying to figure out when and where to go. Everything you need to know is on 9news.com.
Kathy, thanks. Maybe our Chris Vanderveen should have expected it when he posted on Facebook this week about the loss of his dog of 13 years. The response from you was overwhelming, and it was wonderful. People sharing photos and stories of dogs who changed their lives. Tonight, Chris offers up these thoughts on why it might have resonated with so many of you.
They are our wholesome devils, our deviant angels, contradictions wrapped in fur. Ralphie was mine, but anyone who knew us knew I never owned him. He owned me. I took him in years before Lila. If he was jealous when she arrived, he didn't show it. Instead, he braved the wrath of a child with the demeanor of a big brother and the patience of a saint.
Ralphie. Hi, Ralphie.
He was my barometer, always reminding me calmer air was on the way. Sunday, 13 years into a life that would never go on long enough, Ralphie passed. I miss him. just as I know you miss Jesse and Giddis, Buddy and Max, Baxter and Bodie.
I'm coming to get you, Ralphie. Well, there he is. There's Ralphie.
Your words have told me not to feel foolish for feeling so sad over the loss of a pet. Because as you said, they accepted us and loved us and cared for us with neither question nor doubt. To the uninitiated, this all might seem silly, but we know better because we knew them and all of their contradictions, their faults and their triumphs, their defecations and their denigrations. Sometimes more sinner, less saint. Didn't matter. Shortly after Ralphie passed, I told Lila Ralphie had moved to doggy heaven, a place I cannot say for sure exists. But if God is as good as I believe God to be, I have a feeling he's not keeping our wild contradictions out. Not when they taught us far more than we ever taught them.
What's now called the McNichols building in Denver has seen highs and lows in the last century. It's been shiny and new, then abused and ignored. And this week it reopens as a hub for arts and culture in the center of our city, right at Civic Center Park. Photojournalist Mike Grady gives us a look around in 60 seconds.
The building was dedicated in 1910 and it was the first library in Denver. In 2012, this became a hub for contemporary events, arts, culture. The renovation addresses the needs of the way we are using the space today. So one of the key features of the renovation is the courtyard. It's like arms embracing the visitors. So it creates a welcoming space, a welcoming experience even before you enter the building. So we're looking now at the service elevator. We want our visitors to have a great experience whether you are attending an event or actually having your event. The Belvedere is a nod to the past. Well, when you look out the Belvedere into the courtyard, you just cannot but think of the mayor addressing the city. McNichols building has become that gathering space for culture, civic activities, and community gatherings.
Looks great. Grand reopening ceremony is open to the public Thursday at 5:30. Thank goodness they never tore it down for condos or some such garbage. Hey, some years from now, we will be tipping back James McDonald's beers, and I hope that you will remember that we first met him on Next when he was a senior at CSU this year and won 2 bronze medals at the U.S. Beer Open Championships in their first ever collegiate competition. One for his IPA, Jack's Front Yard IPA. It's brewed with spruce tips, harvested from a Colorado spruce, easy for me to say, owned by a CSU professor. Second medal winner was his Belgian wit. Jack's going pro. You can count on it.
And brewing is one career that I've found that really encompasses everything, you know, chemistry and biology and physics and engineering and just a bunch of different trades are used in brewing. So it's been a lot of fun to just kind of learn all aspects of the business.
McDonald plans to graduate in May. He'll have a Bachelor of Science, Fermentation Science. He's going to look at jobs at breweries. He says ultimately he hopes to open up his own brewery in 10 years or so. Jack, don't make me wait a decade. Cheers to your success. We're back with the one story that got everybody talking today. One story blew up the hashtag #HeyNext today. You want to guess which one? Brian writes, Next just went to the dogs in a most beautiful way. Thank you. Karen Cutler to Chris Vanderveen, so very sorry for your loss. I know how hard it is. Alicia writes on Twitter, just gave my dog like 10 treats, also crying. Thanks. Next. Sawyer, thank you for your story on Ralphie. Any misspellings are because my eyes are sweating. And Drew Shreve on Twitter, thanks. Next. Wasn't expecting to tear up watching the news today. This isn't the news, this is Next. And we'll see you next time.